Good afternoon, y'all. We just wanted to come on here and do a quick live because of the way the markets are going today. It's a lot of blood in the streets, and I know a lot of you are concerned. Hey, we're concerned as well, so we're just trying to put out some information out here, just assess the market and really talk about what's going on. So I got the good brother Justin from But Would You on here, and hopefully we can see what's going on, uncover some dirt. And man, Justin, he is a mastermind, so he knows how to snipe both ways, no matter which way the market is going. He's getting it both ways. What's your quote? You like to say?
It's actually a Jay Crip song. It's called "1,000 Ways to Get It." I've been up this is from a Drake part. I've been up 4 days getting money both ways.
There you go.
So we might go long, we might go short. You never know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So that's what we're here to do today, man. Let's see what's going on, and let's see how we can get it both ways. So. All right,
yeah,
all right.
Appreciate you bringing me on. A lot of craziness going on in the market between the we had the Yuga land mint that kind of kicked off the crazy gas wars. Highest gas I've ever seen. I seen that one. I checked my little pop up. It got up to like 5,000. I think it was 5,000 way, which is absolutely crazy. So can touch on that. Maybe touch on obviously Bitcoin dropping down to 30K and see if we go lower if we got lower anticipation coming. And then leading up to the most recent actions of the depegging from UST and Luna going from its all-time high just about a month ago at $120 down to currently trading around 115 cents. I'm sorry, $1.15. So yeah, man, what do they say? It's blood on the streets.
Blood on the streets.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Kanye got blood on the leaves, but we got blood on the streets out here. So.
Yeah, man, it can be scary. It can be scary. I know some of y'all are just getting into the market. Maybe this year was the first year you got in the market. Maybe you listen to some of the stuff that I put out, some of the stuff that Justin put out, and you're like, man, I've been finally listening to these fools, and look what happened. I knew I should have listened. I should have listened. And that's the feeling that I had. I started in November of 2017. And everything was rocking and rolling. And then January 2018 came, and I said, what in the world did I get myself into? And I had to learn. So, we're going to learn today. So let's go ahead and get some screens up here, and we can take a look at the market, see what's going on, uncover some truth, some fact or some fiction. And
it sounds good. So, we thought we was at 30K. What were you saying?
Yeah, so we thought we were at 30K, and look at where we are. We are under 30K on Bitcoin. And obviously, the market follows what Bitcoin does. And when Bitcoin coughs, then the alts, they get a cold, they get a flu, they get the flu. And what they say, when one thing gets a cold, everything else gets a flu. So when Bitcoin gets a cold, the market gets a flu. And so ETH, which is, the second most stable thing, crypto that's out there, is taking a beating. But let's all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna change it to the 7-day view, and this is the story, the big story that's at hand, Terra Luna. So I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, this is absolutely wild, man. It's like I am a big fan of Terra Luna, right? Because it's a layer one platform. They have a lot of builders coming onto their platform. They had Anchor Protocol, which was like their biggest DeFi protocol. So as I was learning more and more about different layer ones, I'm trying to test them all out. I really liked Luna. Their Terra Station wallet was cool. You paid gas in UST, so it was like their gas was actually paid in their stable coin, which was cool just because, it feels a little bit better paying constantly $1 or $2 in the actual stable coin rather than, I'm paying an ETH where it might be $2 today in ETH and then tomorrow it could be $8 in ETH. And, it's like, dang. So there's a few things I liked about Terra a lot, but like you're saying, this is like polarizing, to see this unraveling.
I know, man. I know. So yeah, we definitely gonna dig into that today, and even talk about ApeCoin. Because I mean, look at this, over 64% down, and I mean, this is the big boy as far as the NFTs. So man, it's crazy for any market. Let's say if this was a stock market, and Apple, took a big tumble, and let's say Facebook took a big tumble. It's going to have a big impact on the market, and that's kind of what we're seeing. You know, the number one NFT project taking a big tumble this week, along with one of the biggest stablecoin projects. Well, layer one protocols, Terra's a layer one protocol, taking a big hit this week in their stablecoin. So,
yeah,
all right, man, let's
nuts, right. Just like Netflix goes down 75%, you probably see it throughout the rest of the market, right? You have ripples. So, and then another kind of like, I guess you could say, like complementary ones you want to throw in there. STEPN, there was that NFT walk to earn STEPN app. People were saying, you know, to buy it, and I kind of realized the boat had been missed on that, so that's down huge. Gala Games, great protocol, is down. So the whole market is down, but you know, there are the few outliers that are just absolutely like if you see my chart on the side, right, that's Luna from the all-time high to its current price. So definitely blood on the streets out here.
Yes, indeed. And what's interesting about this story is, like, we're looking at Avalanche. Avalanche is down, and Bitcoin is down, and you know, Terra started buying both Bitcoin and Avalanche to use in their treasury to hold up the peg for the UST. So all of this is, you know, we have a market that is maturing. It's still really inefficient, but everything is so interconnected to the point where if one of the major players takes a hit, it's going to send, like Justin was saying, ripples all throughout the rest of the market. And obviously, you know, Bitcoin is a trading pair with a lot of other things. So it's going to have an effect, a huge effect on the market. So
yeah, and specifically, if you want to click on Terra there, you know, we can kind of jump into and touch on that. So for the people that don't know, like Winston was saying, Terra Luna is a layer one protocol, but inside of the Terra Luna ecosystem, what they use is UST, and UST is a dollar pegged stablecoin, right? So UST is always supposed to stay at $1, and when it's pegged, it means it stays at $1. If you get something that depegs, then obviously that's not stable. That's going to fluctuate. So you never want to see your stablecoin depeg, right? So over the weekend, Terra did depeg, and it went down to about 60 cents, and then it jumped back up to 90, and then now it's back down to around 50, I believe. We'll pull that up in a second as well. But what the main thing I think people need to understand here is that to be able to create more UST, you have to burn Luna, right? And subsequently, to create more Luna, you have to burn UST. So what happened was, as we're trying to bring this peg back, right, and we're selling off assets to get the UST back to $1, and it's currently, if you scroll up just a little bit to see what the current price is, so as they're working to get this peg back for UST, it's currently at 69 cents, to get it back to $1, right? They're selling off these assets, and ultimately, as they're burning more USD, Terra USD, they're creating more and more Luna. So in essence, an infinite amount of Luna supply is coming onto the market, right? So they're trying to take Terra USD away. That way the price can go back to $1. But in doing so, you automatically, because algorithmically based stablecoin, you're automatically creating more Luna. So you're diluting the current holders of Luna. So that's why you continue to see the price go down and down. And that's, you know, that continued sell pressure is going to happen until Terra can repeg back to $1. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg situation. What's happening first? Like, do I sell, you know, if you were holding Terra USD and you were an Anchor protocol earning 20%, then, you know, it's a bad day for you. You know what I mean? Understandably so, right? But on top of that, not only do you have that, you know, you're also being diluted into the Terra Luna, the Luna token. So it's just overall super bad. And, you know, I know we have a few other links that we can touch on if we want to in regards to Terra USD. But did I get that mostly right for the most part, Winston?
Yeah, absolutely, man. In my position in Terra, and thankfully it wasn't a large part of my portfolio, but my Terra is basically almost at zero right now. And, you know, which is sad. And yeah, Justin hit it right on the head. So this supply that's just, you know, dumped into the market because of the way this, the stable coin, the mechanism of the stable coin works. yeah, it just inflated the supply. So this is a really good lesson for supply and demand and tokenomics. And this is, I mean, this is kind of a new experiment as far as algorithmic stable coins goes. This is a something that, well, it has been tried before, and I actually have a link that touches on that. And there's a few different projects that are out there. There's Frax that's out there that has this fractional reserve type system, and it has this algorithm in there. But most of the stable coins a lot of the stable coins out there are backed by either the US dollar or things that represent the US dollar. It might be banknotes, it might be loans, it might be other things that's in there, and that has is risk as well. So all stable coins have risk, even though they're called stable. Their aim is to have a peg to the US dollar or the euro or whatever it is. But obviously, somebody figured out a way to depeg the peg, and so we can get right into some of the stuff that Justin shared with us. So, all right, I'll let you give a synopsis on what's going on here with this.
Yeah, so you guys can go ahead and give this guy a follow. I think, what is it, Freddie Reynolds up there, if you want. But either way, this was written back in November 25th of 2021, right? And he kind of pointed out some of the issues that could potentially be going on when it came to the UST, right? So just kind of, I'll kind of read through this really quick, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, and then I think we'll have a better understanding of like what's going on here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up on my end as well to make sure I'm reading it correctly. So yeah, Freddie Reynolds, and I'll skim through it to make it brief. But a few weeks ago, he said he responded, giving a brief outline of how a wealthy attacker could not only break Terra money, so Terra Luna is the coin, but profit heavy in doing so, right? And they call it a Soros-style Black Wednesday attack. So, if you're out there, do your homework real quick. You can hit those Googles. You can figure out what the Soros style is, or the Black Shoals or Black Wednesday, what happened there. But in essence, there is basically a 6-part maneuver you can pull to pull off this attack, right? It's not necessarily an attack. It is, but most people would think of an attack as a hacker or something of the sort. Well, this is more so market manipulation in a way, right? It's technically legal, like they can do it because, if you have enough money, you can do it. But usually it would be a bad actor to do something like this. So you can kind of scroll down, and we'll start where it says number 1, right? So he says the first thing you would do is long 100 million of Luna, okay? And it shows you won't have a net profit loss change, and you won't have a P&L impact. So you'll just be, if you have, now remember, the people that need to do this have a high degree of capital. And actually BlackRock and Citadel have been tapped as the ones that are behind this attack. So I don't want to say that that's true or not. I don't know. Just kind of the rumors that are floating around right now. Alrighty, so once you have $100 million of Luna longed into a platform, then you would go ahead and purchase 100,000 of Luna and immediately withdraw it from the exchange, right? So I go on to, let's say, Binance, and I purchase $100,000 worth of Luna, and I take it off of that exchange and I put it in a self-custody wallet, right? So a wallet that I can control. I then swap to UST, so Luna's stablecoin. So I swap to UST, and using the Terra seigniorage mechanism, a fee of 0.5% is charged. Now, if you repeat that over 10,000 times, and it sounds like doing it a lot, but there's bots that are created to make this process run a lot smoother and faster, you would get $502 million, right? So you long $100 million worth of Luna, and then you go ahead and purchase 100,000 on the open market. You swap it to UST, so you swap it to their stable coin, and basically what that would have you as a net profit and loss of minus 2.5 million, right? So you basically are just taking some of the Luna out of circulation, and when you take that Luna out of circulation, you're going to swap it into UST, meaning that more Luna is going to be minted. So this is a big factor you need to remember when you are creating UST. You are burning Luna and vice versa. When you're burning Luna, you're creating UST. So now you sell your initial 100 million of Luna from step 1. Since there's been 500 million of Luna market bought in step 2, which you did, at the current order book's price action, So what he's explaining here is that there is not enough orders or not enough liquidity set in their order book to be able to sustain this type of price action on Luna. And the whole point of this attack is to depeg the stablecoin. So they're trying to throw it off from $1, right? So you sell your initial 100 million in Luna. Looking at that, that'll leave you with a new net profit loss of 27.5 million. And you're repeating these processes. So you deposit 200 million worth of bonded ETH on Anchor Protocol, then take out a loan for 100 million UST. So again, you're putting in ETH and you're taking out more UST. Once you have that UST, now you're creating your own little stable, I guess, right? You have your own portfolio built up of Luna and UST that you're going to be able to subsequently put onto the market or take off from the market as you please. So you deposit 200 million worth of the bonded ETH into Anchor Protocol, then you take out a loan of another 100 million UST. That won't impact your P&L. It won't impact your net P&L. Then you would short $100 million of Luna. Keep going. In 100,000 chunks using the seigniorage again to convert 500 million UST from step 2 and 100 million UST from step 4 to Luna. After each conversion, dump the Luna conversion fee of 0.5%. The rate limit means that this step will take a week. 600 million UST sold for $597 million. And then you would continue that loop. You continue to that same exact loop that I just explained there. You then close the Luna short from step 5, since there has been 600 million of Luna market sold in step 6, a reasonable amount. He's giving estimates of how this would work out. And then finally, you pay back the loan from step 4 and reclaim your bonded ETH. And if you see in the last step here, repeat after a few iterations, the protocol will collapse at step 6. So if you look back to what step 6 was again in $100,000 chunks using the seigniorage swapping mechanism, convert 500 million UST to 100 million UST to Luna. After each conversion, dump the Luna, right? So you are basically creating and inflating the token. You're creating an influx of tokens onto the market, which are also selling. So you're selling those markets and you're getting fiat, but those tokens are still on the market. So you're still diluting everyone's value. That's where you have Luna coming in and the price, that's where you have Luna going down because you're creating more and more Luna onto the market. And you have the LFG, the Luna Foundation Group, that is going to have to reach into the reserves and then pay out of the reserves to bring the peg back up. But remember, the more you pay to bring the peg back up, the more Luna comes onto the market. So you already had the issue of you start the snowball starts, and once you get the snowball rolling to just big enough, you can step back. And now, literally, to save the protocol, the protocol owners will have to keep the snowball growing bigger and bigger to actually save the peg of UST, which is part of their entire ecosystem. So now, trust me, it took me a few times reading that to fully understand it. To be fully honest, I'm not sure if I still fully understand it all the way. But in essence, in the layman's terms, right, basically what you had someone with a large amount of capital come in, they found a way to buy Luna, swap it to UST, thus creating more UST, diluting Luna's value. Then once they had all those things, they can put Luna back onto the market, sell the Luna, collect the fiat, right, the US dollar. More Luna is now onto the market, as well as UST's peg is now depeg. So as they try to work to repeg UST, you'll continually have selling pressure and dilution happening with Luna. So a lot to take in there. Sorry if that went over a few people's heads, but it is pretty important because you can see here that crypto is all about trying to discover new ways to stay decentralized and become, your own bank in a sense. And so you're going to have people that try these outlandish type of theories to come up with new strategies to get to that level. And you'll have other people that are saying, hey, let's see if what happens when this happens, right? So in the world, you have good and bad, but it's to be cognizant and aware of how these things happen and try to learn from moving forward, in my opinion, is like super important.
Man, that's an awesome breakdown. And it's one of the things that shows just how, even though the market is still inefficient, but it does show that people that have traditional finance experience that may have been, working for hedge funds, may have been working for financial services providers. They are in the market and they see how inefficient it is. And because of that, they know that they can expose those inefficiencies to make money. And I mean, rightfully so. Now, they're wrecking people in the process. However, this is, if you're long crypto and you're pro crypto, this is the way to battle test the market. And these things will come. This won't be the last time that this happens. But Justin was just saying that it takes a lot of bags, takes a big bag in order to do this, right? And let me go back to Terra, and I just wanted to just touch on the let's see. I wonder if I can see what the market cap was before.
Yeah. If so, on the left hand side there where it says price, change price to market cap. So left and down a bit. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, good. All right. So at one point, this thing was over $41 billion. And I mean, this is less than a month ago, about a month ago. We're talking $41 billion. And so sometimes, and I'm guilty of it as well, sometimes we can kind of adopt the attitude that something is too big to fail. Like there's just way too much money in this project for it to fail. There was a protocol last year, and even Mark Cuban jumped on it. I think it was Iron Finance?
Iron Finance.
Yeah, and they had something similar. They had a peg. They had a peg stable coin. They had this algorithmic stable coin in there, and different ways to try to maintain. And there, I think it was a Titan token. It got depegged, and there was a run on the bank. And so we're starting to see the same. Well, we've seen the same thing happen here in the Terra ecosystem, and so it shows that it doesn't matter how large the bag is in your favorite protocol. It can happen. There's somebody with a bigger bag, and that moves right along to this next thing that you sent, talking about really big bags. So, all right, man, break this down for us.
Yeah, so that's kind of pretty much like this is pretty much saying the exact thing that tweet said, but this is giving us culprits, right? This is saying, all right, these were the people behind it. If you didn't know, now you know. So BlackRock and Citadel borrow 100,000 Bitcoin from Gemini. That appears on their loan book. So they say they swapped 25,000 of Bitcoin into UST. This was all done quietly in anticipation of the attack. So I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't know how true this is. I'm just giving you guys kind of the rumors of what's going on. So what I just broke down that way through that last tweet thread of how you actually do it. These were the people behind it that supposedly did actually do it. Again, BlackRock and Citadel. You guys probably remember Ken Griffin from Citadel. He's the guy that bought the U.S. Constitution DAO. When they were trying to buy the U.S. Constitution, he kind of stepped in and rained on their parade. And most people know who BlackRock Capital is. So when the time was right, they called up Do Kwon. So for the people that don't know, UST wasn't backed by anything at first. So it wasn't backed by anything. So that's why people were so calling it a Ponzi, XYZ. And to step in, and Do Kwon kind of acknowledged this and said, well, what I'll do is I'll start buying Bitcoin reserves to back it with Bitcoin. Obviously, it's already backed by Luna because that's what we hold Luna. And at the time, like Winston said, it was about $40 billion worth. So, it did have slight backing. But in the meantime, while Do Kwon was working this out to find the proper backing, you had, like I said, people on the opposite end that were working their own game plan out. So, again, don't know how true this is, but let's get into it. When the time was right, they called up Do Kwon at Terra Foundation, and they said they wanted to sell a lot of Bitcoin for UST. As it was a large trade, they told him they didn't want to move the market and asked if he would like to buy their large block. Oftentimes, when you're buying a large amount of a stock or a crypto asset, they call it a block. So, said if they wanted to buy their block, I lost my spot. Sorry, large block of BTC at a discount for UST. So, this is the important part. For UST, they're saying, hey, we'll give you Bitcoin. You already want to buy Bitcoin to back it. We'll give you Bitcoin. And then what we'll do is you give us UST. Remember, it's important for them to have UST in the situation because they're going to need it to manipulate the price once we get further into the story. So Do Kwon took the bait. He gave them a huge chunk of UST, thus lowering the UST liquidity significantly. At that point, BlackRock/Citadel dumped all of the Bitcoin and UST, causing massive slippage and triggering a cascade of forced selling in both assets. The real problem was BlackRock/Citadel knew that Anchor, which holds a lot of Luna, was a Ponzi scheme. They offered 20% APYs, why people call them that. And this crash would trigger more withdrawals from Anchor than they could repay. These forced withdrawals and selling would trigger a massive sell-off in Luna, thus further breaking the $1 peg and wrecking the market further. BlackRock and Citadel can now buy the Bitcoin back cheaply to repay the loan and pocket the difference. Meanwhile, billions of longs in Bitcoin were wiped out, and that's what they call market manipulation. So I can't confirm, I didn't go through the transactions or go through, Etherscan or TerraScan to figure out if this is true or not. So I don't want to, like I said, spread misinformation, but it is what's going around on Twitter. And it would make a lot of sense given the last tweet we went through, giving this information leaked out. Those two things combined do seem to add up. So just be aware out there, the market is always going to humble you. And Do Kwon hasn't been the most humble founder after finding success. So be aware, always be aware.
Yeah, he did get a little cocky. I mean, he was winning out here. A lot of people believed in the protocol. He got a lot of praise, and just really, and he's marketing his product too. So of course he's not gonna say anything negative about it. But yeah, he's definitely, the tone has changed a lot. If you go on his Twitter today, and we'll take a look at one of his threads that he put out today, trying to save this whole thing. But I could imagine he's probably, oh man, he's probably not sleeping too well right now.
Yeah, they got a war room set up. I know he just had a daughter, I believe. So I'm sure he got a lot going on.
Man, crazy. All right, so stuff like this, it really piques the regulators' attention, and I mean, there's just been this push to regulate the space. They're I don't want to admit this, but there is a need for some regulation. It's like, it can't be Wild West, especially now that we got the everyday individual that's playing with the big boys. And I mean, really, if you're new to investing, period, and you have somebody that has 20 years of experience in longs and shorts and options and futures, I mean, it's just a totally unfair match, and that's not what crypto was designed for. It really was to upend the existing market, but the existing market is just being transferred on chain.
Right.
So let's take a look at this here. So this is based on a report that was done by the BIS, and it's just talking about how the DeFi, the decentralization in DeFi is really just an illusion. It's a myth. And the reason that they're saying this is because there are people, there are centralized entities within DeFi. We have this treasury that we're speaking about, for example. And so, you have now these entities. You have a person that we can look to. We have Do Kwon that we can look to, so, I mean, he's the figurehead of this new, we can't call it a company, but basically this foundation is, kind of running like a company, and he's taking actions in order to try to save this company if Terra was a company. And this article here, this is on bankingdive.com if you want to check it out later, but it talks about some of the risks of DeFi and why it's not as decentralized as we think. Yes, the mechanisms are there. The code is there, the protocols, the rules are set, but just keep in mind, code is still written by people, and people are subject to fallacy and flaws, and even their own bias. We put our own bias in code, and so all of that is there, and the things that we don't think about, and obviously there were things that Do Kwon and team didn't think about. It got exposed. So that's a pretty good read. All right, so let's move on to what Do Kwon is trying to do to save Terra. And he sent out this thread earlier today. This was at 6:10 this morning, so he's been up pretty early trying to put something out there to just calm the waters, to get people to not run for the hills, but it's not working too well. And I won't go through the whole thread here, but he did put out the proposal. So it's looks like proposal 1164 to increase the base pool from 50 million to 100 million SDR. All right, so it's a lot in here. Just like when Justin was going through the breakdown of how the UST stablecoin works and the burning of Terra and all that mechanism. So you do need to know a little bit of that background to understand what they're trying to do here. But this in the proposal, if you want to read that in your spare time, it talks about some of the issues that's happened. And one thing that they pointed out was that they talk about the depegging, and they talk about during one period there was about $6 billion of Terra that was put onto the market, but only $1 billion of UST were burned. So the UST, it seems like it's not being burned at the same rate as the Terra is being minted, and it's supposed to be 1-to-1 at any given time. But based on the way that they've written the code or the way that they have the mechanism as it currently stands, the UST is not being burned fast enough, and I think that's one of the things. Sorry about that. That's one of the things that is being exploited. Oh, I don't know what happened. All right. Well, I'll drop the link. I don't know what I clicked on there, but they're basically trying to figure out how they can get that burning mechanism to match the speed where all this Terra is coming back onto the market. That's one of the problems. I'm not sure if that's going to fix what's going on here, because basically if BlackRock or Citadel, if they are the culprits, or whoever wants to jump on this train now that is out there, I mean, they can bleed this thing to death and make money along the way. So I'm not sure, if there's really anything that they can do other than just leave the protocol alone. I mean, at this point, it's just like, if the bullies want to stop, then that's pretty much going to be the only thing that's going to stop the bleeding, because, the retail investor, I mean, if you're down 90%, a lot of people just going to be like, okay, I'm either going to close out my position and transfer my little bit of coins into something else, or I'm just going to take this for the write-off of my tax loss. So, man, that's they're trying, but I don't know. I don't know, dude. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're really stuck between a black rock and a hard place, right? You're stuck. You can't do nothing. You're at the mercy of, like you were saying, the bullies in this case. They got the ball rolling, and they were able to, I don't necessarily like saying manipulate, but they were able to coordinate right together to get the thing started. And then the only way to really save the protocol is to continue to dilute Luna. So through that proposal, I think Winston will share it in the link below if you guys want to check it out. But through that proposal, I'm pretty sure they would just show you that we're gonna have to create more and more Luna to get the peg back. And then once the peg is back, now you might finally start seeing price appreciation in Luna. But that could be at 2 cents. That could be at 2/100ths of a cent. Who knows?
Man,
who knows? So
that's crazy.
I think my game plan is I'm gonna buy a little bit of Luna at 50 cents and call it a day. We'll see what happens in a few years. Keep it simple. Not financial advice, obviously. So
yeah, we'll see if it survives. I mean, that could be a play. If you think that Terra is a good protocol and a good platform and will be here to stay. If you're long Terra, then that might be the way to go. So we shall see. All right, but let's check this out, man. This was interesting. So it's funny how when negative things happen, all this news comes out about the background of the individual, and we saw this with Sifu. Is that I'm saying it right?
Safu
seafood. We saw that with Safu and the whole Wonderland Time thing. It's like all of a sudden the CFO of this project, which really was a good project, when the project started to kind of fall apart a little bit, then all the stuff came out about the CFO and how he was like basically like a lifelong criminal. Now it's like, now the dirt is being slung on Do Kwon. He was just praised. I mean, this dude was just like praised all the way up to like this month. He's so smart, he's buying Bitcoin for the treasury. He's a genius. And now he's moving on to AVAX. I mean, that's all you heard about Do Kwon was just how much of a genius he is. But now this article, I mean, this really came out today, like at 11 o'clock today. But he's was behind this earlier failed attempt for algorithmic stablecoin. And so now his ex-colleagues are coming out, and now they're slinging dirt on them. You know, they probably were mad, but now they have the attention to get the story. And they probably put the story out before, but, you know, people don't really care about it if you're making money. But if you start losing money, then, you know, there's an incentive to put stories out like this.
Yeah.
So
what have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me, man? It's a cold game, bro. It's a cold game right here.
Man, it really is. And the longer you actually pay attention, the more you're like, oh man. So I feel bad for the founders. It's not easy creating these projects, and then, you know,
it's tough. It's tough. And offline, I shared something with Justin earlier, and it really spoke to me, you know, as a content creator. There's a guy, Omar Ban, who had this channel called Crypto's News. And I mean, he had been around like forever, like I think 2015 or 2016, all the way up to 2022, all the way up to this year. I mean, he had consistently put out content. And I mean, he just got burnt out, you know, just got burnt out. And just, you know, as much as I love the space, there's a lot of like toxic people. There's just a lot of, you know, mudslinging that happens, and then social media, you know, puts things on hyper mode. It's like you can't stop the barrage of negative comments once they start. And just like there is positive echo chambers, I mean, if you get caught in a negative echo chamber and you're the target, it really just zaps the life out of you. And so we're starting to see this with Do Kwon, with this kind of stuff. So something called Basis Cash. That he tried. I never even heard of it, but that's just how it goes. You know, people, it's kind of like running for politics. You know, you run for politics, then man, for a political position, then it's going to come out. So man, I won't even run for neighborhood garbage man, because I don't need nobody pulling no stuff out on me.
You don't need to see my receipts.
Yeah, man. No receipts, not in this internet age. So yeah, this is, you know, now this article about Basis Cash. So if you want another reason to be mad about Do Kwon, that's one there.
But it's like that. In California, they always say, man, all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, you got something to say. It was all good just a week ago. All of a sudden, you got something to say. So, you know, it is what it is, the good and the bad. But yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's how it goes. So back to a point that we touched on earlier, talking about, you know, regulatory bodies, the Fed, the SEC, the CTFC. I mean, you know, they all have their eyes on crypto, and because of stuff like this, I mean, there's going to be people they're probably going to come out and probably try to start a class action lawsuit. They might try to sue whoever they can. They might try to sue Do Kwon personally or civically, or you know, people want to be restored, even though they knew the risk, even though they might have, you know, read all the disclaimers. But, you know, if a lawsuit can be had, then people do that. But there's been this talk about crypto, you know, forever, and just how terrible it is, and, you know, how it's just for super shady coders. I think that's one of the terms that's thrown out there.
Shadowy coders.
Super shady, shadowy coders. I didn't even know that's what I was, man. So that's what I guess we are. So stuff like this, it gives a lot of meat to the argument that even stable coins are terrible and they need to be regulated. And it's something that, you know, shouldn't be outside of the realm of traditional finance, and under these various bodies, it should be under their control, at least if that's the way that they had it. And so there's been a lot of push against stable coins, but a push for CBDCs, or central bank digital coins. And the reason being is that the government can issue CBDCs. And so, you know, I'm not trying to get political on here. That's not what we're here to do. But obviously, if you have billions upon billions of dollars that are being poured into these protocols for these stable coins, the banks see it, regulatory bodies, they see it. They're like, man, look at this adoption for whether that's USDC, whether that's Tether, whether that's UST, whatever the stable coins are. A lot of market share is moving from the TradFi system over into CFI and DeFi. And they're like, wait, hold on. We can't control this the way we want to. So this article just points to that, and that's on Cointelegraph if you want to take a look at it. But I mean, at the same time, I don't necessarily like that, but we do need to read articles about the negatives of, our favorite protocol at the same time, because I mean, there may be some truth to the argument, and kind of find out the hard way about this stablecoin today. So, but I just threw this in here. The Bank of Israel has his public support for a CBDC, and you can find a whole bunch of them out there in the Bahamas and in Africa, here in the States. There is a number of reports out there. Chainalysis has some stuff out there just on CBDC adoption all across the globe. Same thing in the EU. The European Union is, anti-stablecoin, pro-CBDC. So we're going to see this. CBDCs are coming. So everybody's going to be using crypto, whether they like it or not. And that's one thing that we're here for. We want people to adopt crypto, at least be on the forefront of it, but do it in the, I guess in the safest way that we know how to do it. So, we've been talking about crypto for a while, and I shared this with another friend of mine, Justin, that, I've been telling people about crypto since 2017, and I've been talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and recently, Solana, and even for the XRP people, I have some banter with them. I mean, there's all these projects with all these great use cases. They have backing by some great VCs, and they have partnerships with some of the biggest companies in the world. And I'll get a text after 5 years, and they'll say, "Man, I finally got into it. Oh man, what you think about drip token?" And I'm like, "Dude, you kidding me, right?" And I know some of my friends that's watching this is probably in drip token. I'm like, out of all the good stuff that's out here, all these protocols are actually doing something. Drip token, Shika, Ifa, Floki, Isuku Nunu, I'm like,
what was the no, let's not even get into it. Yeah, I feel your sentiment. Satima. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So it's days like this on top of people jumping into the guaranteed 1% daily things, and man, we've all been subject to it. I mean, I've jumped into some exponential percentage DeFi protocols as well. Greed gets the best of all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. In crypto, you got to get wrecked. You got to get wrecked at least 3 times to really say that you know what you're talking about in this market. Sometimes with something that's, like, okay, I'm gonna put $500 over here and see what happens. And I mean, sometimes it's like, okay, Terra is a great protocol and you still get wrecked. So I mean, that's
still get wrecked.
That's the game.
But to touch on that, man, ABP, or what is it? I said that wrong. But take profits is what I was trying to get at, because on a lot of these protocols, I've been up a bunch and took some profits, but not enough, right? So just make sure you're always taking profits, even when you think it can still go to the moon or whatever the case. It's never a bad idea. You're up money to take a little bit out. We get greedy in crypto, especially because you get unrealized gains in crypto that are just never before seen, right? Like something could literally go up 100x in a matter of days, hours, even. If you're on Dex Screener or something like that, then you can see thousands of percents in minutes. So just got to remember to take profits. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and if you do, at least make sure you're taking a learning lesson from it rather than just being pissed off, right? So
absolutely, man. I'm gonna be transparent with everybody here. So this is my baby right here, Theta token, and I've always talked about this, and this what the market do to you, and this is where greed can get the best of you. So I started researching Theta token like late 2021, right? So I was still kind of late to the party. Um, and so well, actually, no, it was 2020, excuse me. So
Late 2020.
late 2020. So I learned about it maybe around here when it was like 60 cents. And I did my fundamental research and I was like, man, this thing is dope. So I bought like in this region, like somewhere around $1, some less than $1. And look what happened just in a matter of months. I mean, this thing, it went up to like $15 at one point. So I'm up 15x in a matter of months. Now, I have been in banking. I've worked for a pension plan. The traditional investor in me knew to take profit, right? But this is what we tell each other in the crypto world. It's different this time, and we're still early. And and both of those are true. It's always different. Like 6 months in crypto is I mean, that's an eternity. So it really is a different world, like every few months. And we are early. I mean, this has only been around just a couple of years, so it is early. However, you're up 5x, 10x, 15, 20x. Yeah, the what's the moon? So we really have to define like what's the moon, and unfortunately, we don't do that. So I've held this thing. I've went all the way up here and came all the way back down here, and now I have no choice but to say, man, it's still early. It's different this time, and wait for the next bull market. But it just shows you, at the least, take your initial capital off the table. I mean, if you do nothing else, you 2x your money, take your initial capital off the table and let the rest do what it does. So, and have your strategy. But Justin does an excellent job with just different indicators. And so definitely check his channel out for those type of things.
Yeah, for sure. But if we being honest, I ain't gonna hold y'all and act like I'm some perfect dude. I made over 6 figures and I watched, not quite 6 figures go away, but I had made over 6 figures and didn't take enough profit, let's say. So no one's really immune to it. I think living through it, it'll get you built up with enough calluses, right? The memory, the muscle memory from your brain, the calluses of this pain, this hurt, going through these talks, right? It'll happen enough to where you're like, okay, as soon as you're about to take that screenshot and send it to your boy, oh, we up big over here, you see me, yeah. As soon as you're about to do that, take 50% out, because it's good for the mental mindset, right? Because as soon as you're ready to flex, take out 50%.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's a great point.
So yeah,
I think Crypto Man Rand says it good. Like, whatever your emotions tell you to do the opposite. Like just do the opposite. Yeah, You're thinking about selling, buy. You're thinking about buying, just sell. Just whatever your mind is telling you, just do the opposite.
Yeah, especially if you don't have more than like 5 years in 5 years of emotions in investing, then like do the opposite. Once you get about 5 years of the emotional roller coaster that you take, then you'll probably start to be able to make slightly better decisions. But yeah, it's gonna take a bit. It's gonna take a second.
Yeah, and spread your risk out. So I know we all have our favorite protocols, but don't be a maximalist in any project. Like, don't just have one coin, just one token, because I mean, I guess you can, if you just want to hold Bitcoin, you just want to hold Ethereum. I get that. You're like, I don't have time to study nothing else. If you're going to have just one, then those will be the two. But if you're talking about Floki Baby Doge, then I don't know if that's the one that you want to spread your risk out, even if it's on some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even the best protocols can still go to zero, like we're seeing with Luna. But at the end of the day, you do got to mitigate your risk. I like maybe 5 to 7 that you really believe in. $100, a month, whatever you can afford. $50 a month, $20 a month each one. Go from there. But obviously, it's not financial advice. It's just kind of what I picked up along the way. But at the end of the day, you have to be prepared for these types of situations as well, right? Because me and Winston were also talking off air. And we kind of did a little bit of charting, and I was giving some price targets where I think it would be good to redeploy some capital. And both of us were saying how, I wish we had a little bit more capital to deploy. So, it all comes into take profits when you can. Try not to get over emotional. If you're still early in your investing career, you might want to do the opposite of what your emotions are telling you. And then above all, like just always be taking profits, right? So that way you can always be ready in case something does happen. So
that's the truth. That's the truth. All right. Well, let's just talking about market manipulation and just staying in that vein. Now, this I don't know a whole lot about, so maybe you can touch on this a little bit more. But it's a pretty cool project. Azuki is out there. You know, they have some NFTs that have a pretty good floor price, but it looks like they they did some fishy things out here, man. You know much about this?
yeah, so Azuki's is a really popular NFT project. It's like an anime style project. And it grew to have a floor price of over 50 ETH, right? So I don't know, someone do the math. That's like over $120,000 for the minimum that you can buy, right? So it's pretty insane. The crazy thing that happened with the Zukis though is they have their founder, and I'm gonna get some names mixed up here, but just bear with me. Their founder, I think's name goes by Zagabond. So Zagabond was the founder of Azuki, and Azuki's been doing well, so he's been making money off the royalties. But recently it came to light that this person, Zagabond, has also tried to create previous projects, which, I don't think is too big of a deal, right? You try to create a previous project and, now you create a new one. Unfortunately, though, usually when you create a project, you actually want to put some effort into it, right? If I create, whatever, earphone bud guy, and everyone's buying my earphone bud guy NFT and it sells out, and then, 2 weeks later, I stop messaging in earphone bud guys Discord and stop tweeting about earphone bud guys, and I kind of just leave it alone, and then all of a sudden I come out with something new called Papuki, and now everyone's buying Papuki. It's like, well, all right, that's cool, but like what happened to earphone bud guy? You just dipped out. Like you have 10,000 holders and collectors now of that project that are wondering what's going on. Meanwhile, you're over here getting it in with Papuki. So it's like that's in a general sense of what happened. So Azuki's they created crypto funks. So you probably remember crypto funks. They were literally crypto punks, but instead of facing to the right, they flipped it so they faced to the left. They created what else? They had like 3 other projects in the similar vein. So basically, the guy Zagabond became a serial project creator, and he was 2 of those projects have rug pulled. So I'm sure some of you guys know what rug pull is, when you kind of just disabandon the project without notice or without forewarning. You don't turn it over to the community to continue the project. You just ghost it pretty much. So they're saying this Zagabond guy had, rug pulled 2 previous projects, had created about 4 previous projects in total. And then after all that, he created Azuki, which he had planned on the rug pull as well, but it actually hit. It actually became a hit in the community. It took off. It actually popped off. And so then, the creator, Zagabond, was like, oh, I'll just stick with it. So once people found out about this and about his serial project creation, they finally were able to confront him. They got him in a Twitter space. And in that Twitter space, it was kind of confirmed that, he did do those previous projects, that he did have, kind of bad intent. And then when they were asking about the current project with the Zukis and how he's going to handle it, and going forward, what was going to be the options, very generic media trained responses, right? Like, oh, sorry for anybody that's affected. We plan on sticking around and working really hard. I plan to be here for the long term. We're building during the bear market, all the things that you would, hope people would say. So it got really bad publicity. And then you've seen some of the bigger people in the space, like Banksy, start selling their Azukis. Again, it was at a 50 floor ETH just less than a week ago. Start selling their NFTs at the current floor price, which was at that time 17. And if I had to guess right now, it's probably under 10. So, you're just seeing a meteoric, I don't know how to say that, fall from 50 ETH down to 17, now under 10. And then all in the same vein, or all in the same time, with Bitcoin dropping from, 40 to 30 to under 30 now. And as well with Luna going from 120 down to under $2. So it's like, wow. The last few days in the crypto world have been extremely, extremely crazy. I went and got some air. I played 36 holes of golf. I went and created a fire. I dug out a fire pit in my backyard. I caught up on some Money to Master the Game book that I was reading. So, when things like this are going on, in my eyes, my portfolio is down just as bad as y'all's. You know what I mean? I wasn't some genius and took all my money out first. So it's not best to dwell on that. You look towards the future. You know that you're here for the long term. At least I know I am, and I kind of keep it moving, right? I think eventually crypto will get to this point, and the space will be appreciated to where I think it will be. Until then, I got to enjoy the ride like everyone else. So, but that is in quick summary, like what Azuki's kind of took place there.
Yeah, and that's man, that's really good that you pointed it out. I mean, a number of things that you pointed out there. And we do have to separate price from value, because it gets convoluted so much where people say, man, look how much money is for one of these NFTs, or look how much total value locked is in this project. So it must be valuable, without, really lifting the hood and seeing what's there. And I mean, art is different, because it really is subject to the eye of the beholder, and you just don't know what's going to pop. And obviously, like this guy, he didn't know that this was going to pop, but he was just using people's liquidity. And what's crazy about this story is I went to a conference earlier this year, and I met a VC who he was just kind of bragging about like how he pumps up projects. And once he gets the volume up and people see the volume on chain, they buy in. Like he'll buy like 75% of the of the available supply of the NFTs, and then other people buy the 25. He just dumps on everybody, And so it's really a crazy game that's out here. Maybe I don't know what this guy is going to do at this point. I mean, he's probably kind of dead. You never know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like nobody probably wants to touch him after this. Once this project bleeds out, but who knows? He might be able to really turn this thing around.
Yeah, well, it was rumored that he also created a few fake female profiles, 0x Amanda on Twitter, and was kind of like he created a women-led project as well under 0x Amanda, and like so he was trying to get it's a sophisticated level of pump and dump, so to speak. But at the end of the day, there's more market manipulation, so to speak. So to your point, crypto does need some type of regulation overall, but at the it also doesn't need to come at the sacrifice of decentralization. So it's kind of a fine line to walk, and it's hard to really to play both sides and to get the best for both parties. So hopefully that'll come to a head eventually. But with the Azuki founder, I don't know, man. I wouldn't. If anyone's out there trying to buy Azukis, I would probably stay away for sure, in my opinion. But the market is irrational, especially the NFT market is absolutely irrational.
It makes no sense.
So,
yeah.
And education is really the point that can really change for people, because if you knew how to read Etherscan, and some people may not even know what that is, but if you knew how to read the blockchain and read Etherscan, you would be able to see that maybe he's able to mask that he owns 75%. In the example you're saying, he's able to mask that he owns 75% of the total supply, but at the end of the day, you'll be able to see some red flags and point them out and be like, maybe this is some fake volume or whatever the case may be. So something to point out and be aware of there.
Yeah. And when stuff, man, here's the flip side of it. Stuff like this can only happen because greed does exist. Mm-hmm. And, creators, people know that people are buying these NFTs largely because they want to make profit. There hasn't been this crazy art renaissance that's happened out here where people are just like, oh, I'm just so crazy about art all of a sudden. I mean, there's a financial factor that's here, and the NFT space is still it's early and it's late. That's like the crazy part of it. It's like it's late in the sense that you can't just put anything out there and make money. So it's like you got to have something, but it is still early, and we are still seeing just the tip of the iceberg where the space is going. But if there aren't people out here that want to get rich quick, then you can't play them like this. So it does expose like the hearts of a lot of a lot. And I mean, for it I really feel bad for the people that aren't educated on the space. Somebody that's a lot of times we're looking at it from the standpoint of like American mindset, and it's like, yeah, I might have lost a couple of $100, on this NFT or whatever, or even if it was $1,000, but for some people they might have saved 2 months' salary in order just to have a shot, and they get wrecked. So it's totally different from somebody that's in the second or third world. I hate to use those terms, but for lack of better words, that type of country, they're using 2 months salary to get into a project, and they get wrecked. So that's the sad part about it. So all right, man.
Education, man. Find a group of people that are passionate about crypto and learn from them. That's the best advice I think you probably get.
Yeah, man. All right, so this is the last screen that I have here, and this is the big one. So, man, this has been like a crazy week. Like this week has really been crazy. We knew that when the stock market and the S&P, and the Nasdaq and all that was going down, we knew that it was going to have some ripples here in crypto. And whenever we get like a lot of leverage that's flushed out, whenever we get like significant drops, it really does uncover a lot of the crazy stuff. But this kind of happened like right before all the craziness happened in the market, so it seemed like this kind of kicked everything off. And man, Jesse, you can explain this one better than I can. But all right, man, this ApeCoin situation and the other side.
Have you ever seen a coin going ape shit? Yeah, man. So ApeCoin is the native token for Bored Ape Yacht Club. So I'm sure unless you're living under a rock, you know what Bored Ape Yacht Club is, right? One of the biggest NFTs in all of crypto. They came out with their own coin, and when they came out with their own coin, they also announced that they were going to be launching their land sale, right? So you've seen metaverse, different plays in the metaverse, and usually when you have a metaverse, you have land in the metaverse. So there's actually a lot of nuance that goes on with the details of the story, and I'll touch on a few of them as I kind of go through this brief explanation. But so with ApeCoin, you had to buy the other side. So this Bored Ape Yacht Club land is called other side, right? So to buy the Bored Ape Yacht Club land, aka other side, you had to purchase it in ApeCoin. So first you had to KYC, which in crypto, for those who don't know, KYC means know your customer. So there's KYC and LTM, or what is it? ATM, anti-money laundering laws. So anti-money laundering as well as know your customer, KYC laws. So that was the first, not red flag, but the first thing that people started kind of to gripe about on Twitter when it came out with the other side launch. And so some people did do it, some people didn't. So then after about 2 weeks after you could KYC for this, Yuga Labs, who are the creators of Mutant Ape Yacht Club, they came out and they said, okay, for all the people that did KYC, congratulations. We are launching our other side land mint. And with this other side land mint, you have to have already KYC'd and you must purchase our land with $306 of Ape token. So at the time, $306 of Ape token was going for about $6,000. So it costs $6,000 to mint this land. Again, there's a little bit more nuance here because if you don't know how the blockchain works, then you're not really familiar with what I'm about to explain here. But when you submit a transaction to the blockchain, you have to pay something called gas. And gas is essentially you saying like, hey, I want this transaction to go through. I'm going to pay you a little bit of money to make my transaction go through. The more money you pay, the faster your transaction will go through. So obviously, if you have a lot of money, you can pay a lot more money and have your transaction go through first. Now, why would that be important? Well, if you have a high valuable asset that everyone is going after, right, you are going to want your transaction to go through first. So if Winston only has, let's say, a total of $8,000 to pay for his $6,000 other side land plus $2,000 for gas, which is already a crazy amount, and I have, let's say, $20,000, right? And I'm going to pay for 2 other side lands, right? So 6 and 6 is 12. I'm going to pay for 2 other side lands, and I'm going to use my remaining $8,000 to just buy the other side land. I'm sorry, just to get my transaction to go through. So what happened was is that essentially right there. You had a bunch of people that had already swapped into ApeCoin, 306 ApeCoin, and then they didn't realize how much money they were going to have to pay for this land mint. So if I took my $6,000, I turned it into ApeCoin. So now I have $6,000 in ApeCoin, and then I go to mint my land, but the gas fees are, let's say, at minimum $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Well, I don't have enough money to actually mint the project, right? So now everyone else gets to go ahead of me, and I'm stuck holding my $306 of ApeCoin. And now if ApeCoin's price goes down by 50%, not only was I not able to mint my piece of land, but I also lost 50% of my, fiat value. So there was people very upset with that. There's also people upset with the code in the mint, because usually what you have happen is the minting contract gets gas optimized, right? So when you write lines of code, the more lines of code, the more gas you use, the less lines of code or the less characters that you use in the code, the less gas you'll spend. So it's not easy to optimize a contract, but it's not hard, right? It's something that should be done, if you care about the people that are going to hold your project. And so they didn't do that. That was frowned upon. You could only buy it in ApeCoin. That was frowned upon. You had the KYC, which was also frowned upon. And now the price is sitting at, less than what it cost to originally mint it. It's only about 2.6 Ethereum right now, and Ethereum is at $2,000. So it's only worth about $5,000, and people paid well over $6,000 to mint it, including gas fees. So overall, not going great for Yuga Labs and their land mint. And then to top it off, the cherry on top, there has been absolutely no communication after refunding some of the gas issues from Yuga. So over the past 2 weeks, after people spent, they made $300 million, as well as had a secondary sales of 500,000 ETH, which is in the hundreds of millions. So they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and no one's heard from them in 2 weeks. So yeah, man, it's heavy is the heart that wears the crown, or heavy is the head that wears the crown, I guess, in the NFT space.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Bored Ape Yacht Club, because I mean they're the number one project that's out there. But again, it really just exposed like greed, because there wasn't a lot of information on like what was going to be done with the land, what actually you were going to get. Like people found out what the what you're actually getting, afterwards. So it really was this thing like, okay, well, they hit it out the park every single time. I'm going to make a bunch of money off it. I'm willing to spend 3 ETH to get my transaction to go through, because it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter the price, because I'm going to get this and flip that. And man, people, I know some people that bought and they was like, man, that's all I got off of this, or it was like, I'm net negative as a result of all this. And man, what about those people who had failed transactions?
Yeah. So luckily, Yuga did refund all failed transactions. So that was a nice move by them. But if they had to, because of how everything was already going. But yeah, like you were saying, a lot of people are kind of upset, like they're net negative right now. And it was a lot of people's first foray into crypto and NFTs, and they thought, well, if this is worth, packaged in with Bored Ape, then it has to be good, And then there was also a little bit of manipulation, possibly, again, hearsay, I'm not sure, but the way they did their land mint, usually you have, I forget the term that they use. It's not RPG, but it's like randomly number generated, right? So you can't tell, okay, just because I minted land number 1 doesn't mean that it's like a more valuable land. Just because you were the first 100 in the first 100 list to mint doesn't mean it should be better or worse. But the way that they did their ecosystem, apparently the lower deed number is actually worth more because it's closer to the center of their metaverse, so that's a thing. I don't know, how that's playing out. And then also you had people with these codas, which codas are apparently, now I don't have a Bored Ape, so I'm not fully in the ecosystem. This is just kind of being tapped in and knowing what's going on. So I'm sure there's people out there that may know more. Hit me up at Butwoodjo on Twitter, on YouTube, on IG, if you can inform me. I don't mind it. But basically, if you got a coda, you're able to sell for 50 ETH right at that time. But there was only 100 codas out of the 20,000 land plots, or however many land plots there are. So, there's a lot going on there. But basically, as it stands right now, people are not very happy with it. So, to recap everything, you got that Yuga land drop that went terribly wrong. Bitcoin crashing to 27K. We just touched the new low, 27,900, I think we're at. And
as we speak.
So that's not good for this trade I put in. So, we all take L's. And then also the UST depegging. So, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. You gotta be able to weather the storm to get to the 100x gains, though. So.
Yeah. I mean, this really reminds me of 2017, 2018, all over again. And it's a great lesson for us that are in the space. We have these small window of opportunities. It takes a long time to build. I mean, it took 18, 19, and 20, just buying consistently, and just, I mean, being frustrated with the sideways market. And then boom, you have like 6 months where you can take profit and right back into winter. And if, I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but if things go according to the way they're talking about in the macro environment, period, this is going to be a slowdown all over. And if there's a slowdown in the general market, then obviously there's going to be a slowdown in crypto. It's all interconnected. So there's nobody to buy. Then what's going to pump up the bag? So
it's a scary spot to be in a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, but you gotta risk it to make the biscuit, as they say. So.
All right. Well,
I'm putting in my long right now. I had to get in this trade real quick while we was live here before I missed a move. My alert went off. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with it, and we got to kind of see how it unfolds with the with the SPY and the Nasdaq and whatnot, and kind of see where we're at.
Yeah. So I mean, it's we talked about the negatives and what can happen, but there are things that you can do. In the meantime, I've put out videos before talking about your portfolio, period. So you want to have your crypto portfolio, but you need to have a general portfolio. Crypto maybe shouldn't be 100% of all your investments, especially if you don't have that type of risk tolerance. So you need to look at everything. That's one thing. Investing in yourself. I mean, that's like the best way to print money in a down market. Invest in yourself, make yourself more valuable. That way you can make money outside of your investments to have money to buy investments, especially when they're down like this. But, some things that we can do now is yield farming, in DeFi, print tokens while they're low. I mean, and when they do pump up, that's a great way to go about it. I am not the NFT master or the gaming master at all, but Justin, there's some things I know you can, and even with trading, man, you tell me some things about shorts and longs that I can't even touch. So, man, what are some tips you can give to the people?
Yeah. So, first of all, you got to know your risk tolerance, right? Like, if your wife's already upset with you, and you are upset with yourself, and you may have dipped in too much, then you got to realize where you're at. So, first things first, realize where you're at. Once you know where you're at, and you can say, hey, okay, I know I'm here. I know I messed up, or maybe you didn't, right? Let's just go. We're thinking worst case here. So let's just say, okay, I messed up. I lost a little bit of money, but I still believe in crypto. I don't want to be completely out of it. Like I said, find you a group, paid or not. It doesn't have to be paid, but a paid group, if you trust a paid group, or just like-minded individuals, and constantly engage with them. Talk about their strategies. Talk about what they're doing. Talk about what projects they're looking into. Because trust me, while the price may be down, there are plenty of people in the space that are, not unaffected, but don't really care as much. That see like, hey, in 5-10 years, I'm gonna be good. I'm not too worried about it. That's the mindset I tried to adopt, but it definitely does get you. Like I said, I'm digging a hole for fire pits just the other day, so my mind is off it, right? So find a like-minded group that way you can share ideas and get a better understanding of where things are going. Once you have that, figure out your risk tolerance, right? If you have if you lost $10,000 during this whole situation, then maybe $10,000 is not the right amount for you. Maybe you need to do $10 a week, $25 a week, right? Find out what you're comfortable with. I say those low numbers because that may be where you need to start out with, but you have to continue to play the game, right? You can't go sit on the bench and expect to win a championship. You got to be in the game. You got to be making moves. For me, what I'm looking into doing is I'm going to just buy Luna at Fit. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I would look into a lot of play to earn games. So I transitioned into a focus of play to earn gaming probably like 4 to 5 months back, where I really started taking it serious because I knew a bear market was eventually going to come, and crypto gaming is something that can decouple from Bitcoin's price. So everyone should know, if they don't know, Bitcoin is the king of the jungle. It runs the world, right? The only things that I've seen have a slight decoupling from Bitcoin are gaming tokens, because if you're having fun playing a game and you're adopting users, then that means you can scale the business and you can still generate revenue and also bring in large backers with revenue, right? So if I have a game and I'm getting 7,000 daily active users and I'm doing 4 million transactions a day from my game, then I can be making money from that. And if I take that to a big company and I say, hey, look at my game, it's doing great, I've got this, and this going, and I give them numbers, they'll say, okay, well, here's 50 million to go ahead and or 50, 100, whatever it is, to go ahead and make the game better, to generate even more revenue, right? So play to earn gaming, in my opinion, is a great bet because it can possibly decouple from Bitcoin. So while the market's down, you can be using NFTs or play to earn games to accumulate tokens. So one I like a lot is Crabata, CRA. You can check out that. Pretty easy to grasp. Another one that's coming out is called Imposters. I believe this one has the potential to be humongous. And all you need is 1 or 2 of these games to pop off. And, if you can accumulate over the next 6 months tokens in this game, and then Bitcoin picks back up and goes to 40, 50,000, and then the game, because people come into crypto, oh, this is the next Axie Infinity. If you're not familiar, check out Axie Infinity. It got popular in the bear market. As soon as Bitcoin took off in January 2021, Axie took off. It hit a high of $141. And I believe when people were really playing the game, it was trading at about 15 cents. 15 cents to $150, So play to earn gaming, I think, is a really good bet, something to be looking out for. Crabata and Play Imposters are 2 I like a lot. You can still earn yield with some stable coins. Obviously, with everything going on right now, it's kind of touchy. So I don't really have any, not that I have financial advice anyway, but I don't really have much to say on that. But the last thing is, if you're willing to put in the time to learn and understand how to trade, then that can be very useful. You can see like the chart behind me here. This is Luna, right? So I was able to short Luna, right? How do I find it on the screen? Right, not gonna be able to see it. Right here on this bottom one. So I was able to short Luna and I made like 300% on the way down. Now, mind you, I had a percentage of Luna in my portfolio, so I'm losing money there, but at least I was able to short it on the trading side and make some of that money back as it was lost. So, I have a free Discord. You can hop in and tap in with us and, learn with us as we go. Winston, I'm sure you could just send him a message on Twitter, whatever the case may be. But yeah, like really just don't stop learning, right? Keep finding ways to keep yourself interested in crypto. Even if you're not making money, stay interested, because the people that leave are going to miss when the money does come. And that's the biggest thing I don't want to miss.
That's it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So we'll make sure that Justin's information is in the description. Here, be sure to check back with us with updates. Hopefully the next time we put a video out, then we will have recouped some of these losses from this week. But this is investing. It's cyclical, it's up and down, and then you have these events that just give opportunities, good or bad. So a lot of people are saying, well, I missed the boat last year. Hey, the boat's back. So what you gonna do? But would you?
Exactly. You know what I mean? You could have done it last year. You should have done it last year. But would you do it this year? You know what I mean? You should have took profit. You could have took profit. But would you next time? You know what I mean? So just take a minute. Like I said, just join a group. It doesn't have to be a paid group. You don't have to pay someone $500 a month to learn about these things, man. There are people actually out there that just care about people, and they're like, hey, I may not be an expert, but I know a little something. I'll teach you my little something, and then maybe in return you can teach me a little something. So just put yourself out there, because the worst thing you can do is just sit on the sidelines and just watch it all go by, in my opinion anyway.
Absolutely. Well, man, I think we can cut it right there, wrap it up. So
that's a wrap.
Yeah, yes indeed. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with us, tapping in with us, and leave your comments. We'll be sure to reply to those. And any questions that you may have, reach out to us on our various channels and in Discord, even here on YouTube. We'll be sure to get back with y'all. So, all right, y'all. Happy trading, and peace out.